Tyler Linderbaum, who signed a big contract, leaving the Ravens to the Raiders. Senior NFL insider Adam Schefter joining us now. Shefty, the last 24 hours, they've been quite a blur in Baltimore. Walk us through the Ravens signing Hendrickson and then backing out of that Maxx Crosby trade with the Raiders.
Well, Kevin, it's the reverse order, actually, because what happened here was Maxx Crosby and his wife showed up in Baltimore for what they thought would be a medical and a coronation and a celebration dinner on Tuesday night in Baltimore. And instead, doctors expressed concerns about the physical that he took. Other doctors reviewed the results. We don't know exactly what was in there, but there was enough cause of concern that the Ravens backed out of the deal, in the words of the Raiders, and decided to send Maxx Crosby back to Las Vegas. And instead, at that point in time, once they felt like they couldn't move forward due to the condition of his knee that underwent surgery 8 weeks ago, he spent the last 7 weeks on crutches, they pivoted to Trey Hendrickson. Now, you heard Eric DeCosta talk about their grand plan of pairing both defensive ends together, Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. And Trey Hendrickson was disappointed about the fact that that did not become a reality, that in the end, ultimately, Crosby goes back to the Raiders and Hendrickson reaches agreement on a 4-year deal worth up to $120 million in Baltimore to now provide the type of pass rush the Ravens thought they would be getting from Maxx Crosby when they agreed to a trade for him on Friday night.
All right, so now the Raiders, they lose out on 2 first-round picks from the Ravens, and Crosby now goes back to Vegas. What's next for the defensive end here coming off that knee injury?
I think the Raiders are right back where they thought they would be, where they would be open to trading Maxx Crosby. They've taken calls from other teams, but they would have to get an offer they couldn't refuse. And you have to ask yourself, what team is going to give an offer that the Raiders can't refuse for a player right now who just didn't pass a physical, who essentially is 2 months removed from surgery, who is not going to be fully healthy until opening day of 2026, and who's coming off surgery to his meniscus, bone, and cartilage area. So there are questions. Now, his doctor, Neil Elatrosh, says that Maxx Crosby is right on track, right where he needs to be, but he may not be able to go through the type of physical to make a team want to trade for him for another couple months. There's a lot that's up in the air, a lot that still will play out here, and it's certainly possible that he could be back playing for the Raiders again this season.
Okay, and Schefter, you got more breaks.
Plus sacks, or maybe 10 sacks this season, and he was forced to sit out the last 2 games of the season. I think he would be okay. He would recover. So I'm confused on why they chose to do this, why they chose, to rescind him being there. It makes no sense to me. And I like the fact that they were going to try to pair Hendrickson and Crosby together. Hell, that they would have been hell on wheels if they were able to pull that off.
Yeah, I think if you really look at it, Henderson might be a better pure pass rusher. But overall, I think because Crosby plays the run so much better than Hendrickson, I think he gives them a dynamic. And, you got to have somebody that can set the edge. And Maxx Crosby can set the edge, but he can also become very disruptive, pressure your quarterback, and get to your quarterback. Hendrickson, we've seen over the last couple of years in which he wasn't injured, you see the numbers that he's put up. He is a pure pass rusher, drafted by the New Orleans Saints, and ended up going to became a free agency and goes to Cincinnati and played extremely well. Reports are that he probably took a little less money to go to Baltimore, but I think there were some hard feelings. He's like, you had years to get this done. Now, all of a sudden, you want me because I could potentially be going to a division rival. Ocho, look, I agree with you at everything that you said. They knew he had surgery, and maybe you're looking at it because you're looking at it long term because you got Maxx Crosby. I think now you're talking about somebody that dealing with degeneration in the knee. So I got a very arthritic right knee. Same thing with the left knee, and I got basically bone on bone on the lateral side, which is the outside, and I'm damn near bone on bone on the inside, which is the medial meniscus. And what has happened as I've gotten older, stuff start to happen. This is what, and you see it with a lot of old people, Ocho, that didn't play sports. Your body just get older, and cartilage starts to dissipate, and you get that bone on bone. I'm fortunate enough to be in a situation where I can afford, great medical care, and I don't have to all this hang-ups. I can go, okay, what's going on? Now, insurance company wouldn't take care of whatever I had going on, so I had to pay for my own MRI.
Right.
No problem. And then I go to one doctor. He says, okay, you can do X, Y, and Z. I go come to the doctor out here. I'm at Curlin Job and go to the doctor that did my hips, and he looks at it like, well, Shannon, let me explain it to you. It's an X, Y, and Z, so forth and so on. But, you got degenerative needs, and eventually, hey, I'm not telling you anything that you didn't already know. You're going to have a knee replacement. If not one, probably both of your knees. But the right knee that I'm looking at now, you're going to have to. So I think that's what the Ravens doctors are looking at, that, okay, yeah, this healing up properly, but we see some degeneration in this knee. And that's never good because, to be on the hook for a knee that could be, not just me speculating. Now, I haven't talked to anybody, but I'm saying as a doctor, you probably look at it as Ravens, like, hold on now. In order for this to make sense to us, Ocho, because you got to realize what we're giving up. We're giving up the number 14 pick this year, and who knows what that pick. You hope that if the trade would have gone through, we're somewhere 32. Ideally, it'd be 32. If we give up the 32 pick next year, you know what that means, Ocho? We won the Super Bowl.
Most definitely.
31, that means we were in the Super Bowl.
Honestly,
29-30, 29-30, Ocho, we were in the championship game.
This is what I'm thinking about. You think about a player that's 29 years old. 29 years old.
Yeah.
A player like Maxx Crosby, that's a disruptor. He's been in the NFL for a few years. And if you take an MRI, if you do an MRI of all the players that have 8, 9, or 10 years or more, I'm sure there's something alarming on everybody's MRI if you look at it. It always is.
Yes.
Nobody is 100% healthy. Everyone has issues, whatever it may be. I just know that Maxx Crosby that we saw that was on the field last year with the Las Vegas Raiders was an impact player, and he made a difference every time he was out there. Even doing a losing effort, he was still a disruptor. He still was able to set the edge. He was still able to disrupt the pass depending on who they were playing. It really didn't matter. No one can stop him. You can only hope to contain a player like Max. So to let him go because of what you see, in an MRI when he was already hurt last year and he's recovering, he has rehab, and you doctors have the resources to get him as healthy as possible. And you know what you get with a almost healthy or even 90% or 95% Maxx Crosby, and you let him go and understanding what he can do for your team and making your team exponentially better, especially if you pair him with Henderson. I'm like, I don't see. Listen, it's a business decision on their part. I just understand as great as he is, even with a messed up knee where he's going to recover, where he's going to rehab, there's no way I sit him back. But obviously, I don't own the goddamn Ravens. It ain't my decision.
And you ain't got $100+ million tied up. But here's the thing, Ocho. What if I told you can get a very similar player? Hold up. And this is what they do. Ocho, what if I told you I could get you a similar house for about $6 to $7 million cheaper? The payments will be cheaper monthly. Pretty much the same house. Maybe a 500 square foot different. But it's going to be probably over the course of it, I'll probably save you about $28 million. But I'm going to get you a very similar house right there. A 2-acre lot, nice size, infinity pool, probably about 12,000 square feet, 7 baths, full baths, 2 half baths, 8 bedrooms, gorgeous, a theater. If I told you I can get you a similar house to the one that you really love, but I'm going to save you $28 million, would you be interested? And you're not going to have to give up those 2 first-round picks. Would you? Could I interest you in that?
You could, but I'm in the now right now. I'm in the now. I'm not worried about down the road. I'm trying to. Okay. If I'm playing poker, I'm putting all my cards on the table. I'm putting all the cards on the table, and I'm trusting my doctors to an extent because I want Maxx Crosby here.
You got to.
I want Maxx Crosby here. We got Trey Henderson in the building. We're negotiating this contract. We have Max in the building. I'm taking all my cards and I'm putting on the table. I'm out.
But here's the thing.
I'm taking a gamble. I'm taking a gamble.
I'm not taking a gamble with 2 first-round picks. If I can get them at a lower rate, I can
You
take
talk
a
about
gamble. I'm not taking.
You talk about 2 first-round picks. You don't know what you're getting. There's no telling those 2 first-round picks that can come in to make any goddamn difference.
But what if his knee doesn't hold up this year? What if that knee is bad and then I'm stuck? What if that knee is like Dante Culpepper's knee? Then what do I do?
How did he look before they forced him?
How did Dante Culpepper
We're not talking
look
about
before
Dante
he
Culpepper.
had
We
that
talking
knee
about
injury?
Maxx Crosby, the one that played all season.
You gotta base it on the medicals, Ocho.
He was hurt all season long, and he gave you 10 sacks. What are we talking about?
No, he didn't. Let me
They
ask you a
made him
question.
sit out the last two
If you go,
games.
if you go back and look at it, look at the numbers. Trey Hendrickson versus Maxx Crosby, 2019 to where they are now. Who has more sacks? Who has a higher pressure rate?
I don't have the numbers in front of me.
And I can get Trey Hendrickson. I can get Trey Hendrickson for about $5 to $7 million a year cheaper, and I don't have to give up ish. So I can get Ocho. I can get you in this house, and you don't have to put a down payment.
I understand what you're saying, Unc, but I understand what you're saying. But I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it from a different standpoint. As a team, as an organization, as a team, as an organization that continues to miss in the first round, as a team and an organization that was horrible on defense last year, especially at the beginning of the season, how bad our backing is or was, constantly getting beat. How can I make a difference? I'm gambling. This is what it's all about.
Oh, Joe, but you make it
gambling.
seem like Trey Henderson. You make it seem like Trey Henderson is a bum. The man had 35 sacks in 2 years.
I'm not calling him a bum. I wouldn't do that. I'm just saying he had two.
But I'm saying no, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying you making it seem like Maxx Crosby is just exponentially. Hold on. This is not a Myles Garrett situation now. If you're talking about Myles Garrett, okay, we're having a conversation because that's a 2-time defensive player of the year and a guy that has like 125 sacks in like 8, 9 years.
But you mean to tell me I get the best of both worlds. I get the best of both worlds. Now, on one hand, I have a player who's injured, who just had surgery, but I understand what I get based off the small sample size of how I seen him in Las Vegas, and what he's done on an injured knee. I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting the doctors. I'm trusting rehab. I'm trusting all.
You trusting who doctors? So why do you have those doctors on payroll if you're not going to trust them to properly evaluate players that are coming in that you're going to have to spend $100+ million and give up first round pick this year, which is number 14, and next year's first rounder. I can understand if it's 32, no problem. That means we won the Super Bowl. But, and I get it. Drew Brees had a very similar situation. Miami Dolphins flunked his shoulder on the physical. He goes to New Orleans, and we know what happened.
Now the same thing could happen.
And
same thing could happen. Same thing could happen. You know what? And for them causing this mess, this is what I'm hoping, huh? This is what I'm hoping. Now, I'm not a crystal ball, but most of the time since we've been on this show, sometimes I've been right. I've been right 98% of the time when I talk about players going certain places and it's come to fruition. You know what would be a funny thing that the Bengals could do? You know what would be a funny thing that the Bengals could do? The Bengals could take
Maxx Crosby.
They can go get Maxx Crosby. They could take that chance. They can trust in our doctors. They can trust in the rehab process and hoping he's back and knowing even with a non-healthy Maxx Crosby, we saw what he did last year. Where the Raiders forced him to sit those last 2 games out. I would love for it to happen. I would love for it to happen.
But the thing is, now you're saying I can get Maxx Crosby. I don't have a problem. I have a problem if the knee is as bad as the Ravens doctor think it is. We don't know. I'm an untrained eye. You're an untrained eye. But if it's as bad as the doctors and the Ravens believe it is, 2 first-round picks is off the table. Now he goes somewhere else, and I have to give up a 3rd-round pick or a 2nd and a 5th-round pick. Now that's a deal. But 2 first-round picks and got to pay him $33 million a year. Come on, Ocho.
I hear you, Unc. But I'm willing. I'm willing to take the chance. I'm willing, just like owners do all the time. They take chances.
Well, you're not going to be no GM. You gonna get. You about to be Nico Harris.
But you have to think about it though. Hey, chat, stay with me real quick. You have to think opportunities like this to get a player that can change the direction of your franchise, especially defensively, don't come around that often. Even with the limping Crosby, he makes a difference. We have to understand who we're talking about now. We're not just talking about just the guy. We ain't talking about a Jag.
No. Healthy. He's the top of the pecking order. He's the top 5.
So that's why.
He's the top 5.
That's why I would be a little hesitant. Okay, we got a little hiccup. Okay, we understand he had surgery. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure how. I understand how you feel on it. I'm curious. I don't have my chat up. I'm curious to see what the chat thinks about it, but I would take that chance.
I think they go. I think they're back and forth, Ocho. Now it could be a total situation like this.